All right. It says I'm live on YouTube. Hi, everyone. It's me, Sasha, and I am joined today by my business pal, Lisa Fink. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for saying that you would join me and talk to me today about Teachers Pay Teachers and how great of a place it is to sell digital products.
Thank you for having me. I always appreciate the opportunity to share what I know.
Okay, great. It's so great. So we do have questions. I'm going to be interviewing Lisa, and you see on the screen that she has her course Cloaked in Fun, and she'll be talking more and walking you through that at the end because it's a really great resource if you want to have a course about of content and templates and stuff to help you be successful selling on Teachers Pay Teachers. And I know a lot of you like to work with templates, and it has helped a lot of you successfully start Etsy shops. So you know the power of good content and templates. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first question that we have from Tuaya, she said, I haven't opened my Teachers Pay Teachers store yet. I'm interested in any tips to do it the right way. So, and then she also asked, do I need to make different listing images for Teachers Pay Teachers versus Etsy?
So I will just dive right in if you don't mind.
No, please, please. You are the expert, not me. Please.
So tip number one, and I know it might be a hard pill to swallow, but I 100% believe that you should pay for the premium membership right away because you get a much larger commission from TPT as opposed to if you had the basic plan. So if you have a $3 resource and you are not on the paid premium plan, you're only, let's say, going to make about $1.85. Whereas if you have the premium membership, you're going to make 15% more. So to me, that makes a big difference right from the get-go. I do know some sellers that are not sure, how their TPT journey is going to go. So they wait a month or two until they earn that $59.95, which I believe is still what it is. And that's okay if you want to wait a month or two, but definitely don't wait too long.
Yeah, for sure. And Teachers Pay Teachers just started charging a fee to start a shop in the last year. I think it happened at the beginning of this year.
Yeah,
So if you're going to have to pay anyway, you might as well pay for the it's just an account fee that you start. It's right. You don't pay monthly anymore
correct.
after
It's
that.
just
Yeah.
a yearly account fee.
Yeah. So when I started my TPT shop, I started it just to, kind of test it out. And I started it unknowingly a month before that fee was even put in. So I was probably one of the last people to get a free account, but free, meaning I could start my shop for free, but then they would take, like you said, a huge chunk out of the actual sales revenue. So yeah,
Right.
so definitely pay for the premium account, guys. That would be beneficial to you so that you keep more of the money that you earn. Okay, so then the second part of 2A's question is, do you need to make different listing images for your Teachers Pay Teachers shop versus your Etsy shop?
Yes and no. For cover images and thumbnails, TPT gives you 3 thumbnail spots to promote it, but on Teachers Pay Teachers, you get to add a PDF preview. So on Etsy, because you don't get to add a PDF preview, what I do is save those slides as JPEGs and use those as the additional thumbnails on Etsy to use all the spaces.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess it just depends on what you sell because the aesthetic of the products that you sell is it is very clickable to people who are shopping on TPT. So let's say that you have a shop where you sell stuff that's optimized to sell on Etsy visually, which we know is more like thinner line weight on fonts. The fonts are different, it's more minimalistic. Would you encourage people to maybe retool the aesthetic of their listing images to be more in line with what is more clickable on Teachers Pay Teachers?
I wholeheartedly believe in branding. So the fonts that I use for my business branding are the same across platforms, whether it be Shopify, TPT, Etsy, Amazon, wherever I sell, I have my own branding fonts, but they are not difficult to read fonts. They're easily viewed on all platforms. So I understand what you're saying. I personally, though, don't change any of my fonts if I'm listing it from one platform to the next.
Okay, so that brand consistency is important and it's not a deal breaker for teachers pay teachers buyers.
Right. But one thing I want to add is regardless of which platform you are selling on, you should be showcasing pages found inside your product. If you leave someone guessing what your activity or resource looks like, odds are you probably just lost a sale and they're going to keep scrolling to the next one that showcases some of the pages inside. Now, do you have to show everything? Not at all. But you want to give them a really, really good idea of what they're going to get. And you're really trying to convince them, wow, this looks so good. I'm going to add it to my cart and make a purchase.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of new digital product sellers, they fall into the trap of they think they for their first listing image it should just be a cover page or a title page for the product. For example, like, if it was a resource like escape room game for history or something, a historical lesson in escape room game format. So it'd be the title of the product on the listing image, but with nothing to pique the buyer's interest of what's inside of it. I think
Right.
that's because people who come to digital products are so used to buying physical products that they don't understand that there's a way to position and sell those kinds of products. So that is a
Right.
good point.
And it's very different across platforms. Recently, I started adding educational workbooks to Amazon. And the way that I create the covers for the workbook is entirely different than what I would do on Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yeah, perfect. That is a good tip for sure. Okay, so what are your favorite products to sell on Teachers Pay Teachers?
So I am a huge fan, if you know Think Tank and you know the products I have, I'm a huge fan of anything gamified with some sort of puzzling aspect, whether it be a scavenger hunt or an escape room or some sort of CSI activity, collaborative activity, anything that gets the kids talking to each other or moving around the classroom. That's when you really get to see those light bulb moments and those aha moments. And that's what every teacher dreams of. So I have found when you have an escape room or a scavenger hunt or a breakout where there's a mystery word at the end or a secret 4-digit code, it is kind of like leaving a carrot dangling for the kids. And it really urges them to want to finish. Normally, if you hand a kid a reading passage and 10 questions, you're probably going to get a lot of glaring eye rolls. But when you have that same passage and those same 10 questions, but you modify it in just the slightest way to add some sort of element of mystery, like the mystery word or the secret code, they want to finish. They want to read the passage. They want to break the code and escape.
That is true because my daughter, she has played your games and she will play it until the bitter end, even if she is struggling because she does want to crack the code. Gamifying stuff makes it more fun. It's like a challenge, and kids
It
want to
does.
win. Yeah.
And kids today are all, it's different than 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They are all about instant gratification. So when they finish and they get that code, it is self-rewarding and almost self-checking, like, hey, I did this, I got the code right, I'm awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It does build self-esteem. And in schools now, they really do focus on children's self-esteem and healthy self-esteem, not putting someone else down to make yourself the winner. But yeah, that collaborative team process, like we won as a team. We're so
Right.
awesome. And they high five each other. Yeah, my daughter, she loves that. My 6-year-old, she likes to do that too, but it's like herding cats in the classroom with 6-year-olds.
Well, I will say what I noticed when I was teaching is gamified activities actually give your shy, introverted, reluctant learners a chance to shine. It is no longer the smartest kid is always going to win the competition or escape first or figure out the code first. You really get to see different kids shine, which is really rewarding.
That's true. That is true. It does bring them out of their shell because people they need help, and then it gives them that moment to help others, and that's rewarding too, to crack
Right.
that code collectively. Okay, awesome. So my next question is, what products are easy for non-teach, because this is a misconception. I asked this question specifically because a lot of people will say, well, I'm not a teacher and I'm not a parent, so what business do I have selling on a place like Teachers Pay Teachers, or even just selling kids resources in general? So, what products are easy for non teachers to make and sell on Teachers Pay Teachers?
Well, with the use of ChatGPT and AI, really you can go into much more in-depth activities. However, for non-teachers that are really just looking to get a start, you can do bulletin boards and classroom decor. You can do collaborative posters where the kids kind of each get their own block to color and then piece it together. I personally dove into lower elementary math for a little while. I've never taught math a day in my life, but the basic addition, subtraction, you can certainly make resources like that.
Mhm.
You can also make monthly puzzle packets that kind of focus on the big themes of the month, like a November puzzle packet with a word search and a word scramble, or logic puzzles, brain breaks. And if you're not familiar with the terminology of teachers, then I just suggest that you do a little bit of research on Teachers Pay Teachers. A lot of these say puzzle packets. In the education world, we might call them early finisher activities, so that if you have kids that finish before anyone else,
Mm.
they have something to occupy their time and keep them busy, but it's not boring. They want to finish so that they can move on to the word searcher, so they can move on to the logic puzzle. So anything like that without having all of the teacher methodology or terminology in check quite yet, you can definitely start there.
That is a good tip because everyone, I mean, and you have to also remember you were once a kid too in school. So think about, I always tell people, think about what you enjoyed doing in school and
Right.
what your favorite things to do, what excited you. And I think people forget you were a kid once too. So also I wanted to point this out. That early finisher, I'd never heard that term, but my daughter, my eldest Ruby, she's in third grade. They started doing something in third grade where she is. Her teacher is younger, and she always wants to do the newest thing that's on a TED Talk or something. But they do a thing called Genius Hour for the early. They're doing it for all children, but it's more like for her, the early finisher. And so you
Right.
create your own. You're given a set of templates to create your own kind of self-guided project to complete, and then you do it. You talk about it, what you've completed in front of class. And so, yeah, that's a very, very popular product that teachers want because kids are on all different levels, and they need something to keep everyone busy and on task and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's a great idea. I love that puzzle packet idea. That's great. All right. So, this is a question for me, but I know so many others have this. And it's kind of interesting because I've heard a lot of different things from different people. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. So, what is your favorite Teachers Pay Teachers keyword research tool?
Most people aren't going to like what I say, but honestly, it is the search bar itself. The, the search bar has the drop down menu, and you can see what people are currently searching. But also, I'm going to see if I can find it. Can you see my screen right now?
I can see, but you're just on, you must be just sharing a tab and not the whole screen. So you can change it to select a different tab if you want. There you go. I see it. The
Okay,
TPT
perfect.
seller blog. Yeah. Okay, great.
Perfect. So here, TPT has a seller blog, and they give you the trending keywords. And so this is an older one. But so what I do if I was making a Christmas activity is I would go through the trending keywords and see how many of them I can kind of piece together for a long tail keyword. So it might be Thanksgiving math, but then we'll add centers to it,
Mhm.
or 3D shapes. Or, for example, Christmas is number one here, but I have a Christmas, it's a reading comprehension activity. and it's an escape room, which is usually on the list as well. So I try to piece together some of the trending keywords, but also another tool that a lot of people, new sellers, aren't aware of is TPT University. And can you see this new page?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. They have basically free advice for getting started. It talks about keywords, it talks about snippets, it talks about where you should be putting your keywords inside of your description. I mean, UTM codes, how the search works. There's so much free information here that if you're brand new to Teachers Pay Teachers, then I highly advise starting here.
That's great. I didn't even know that existed. It's like the Etsy seller handbook, but for Teachers Pay Teachers.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. I know a lot of people don't. It's the thing is that there's this. I've heard of one. It's I forget the name of it. It was like inspector or spy.
Oh, yeah. There's a. I don't. It's what is it? Teacher Spy, or I know
Spy or something. Yeah.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. And they had a free, tester where you could test it out. But for some of them, I actually didn't agree with what the results were. I don't think they have enough data or information yet to really be influential in the keyword tools area. So to me right now, the TPT search bar is your best friend.
Yeah, I mean, you're a top seller, so you would know. But it's nice to hear from someone who's been successful on the platform. Just say it's as simple as that,
Right.
and take all the free data available to you and make sense of it and pull it together in a way that's logical.
Right.
That's nice. That's refreshing to hear. Okay, so what trends have been popular on Teachers Pay Teachers this year?
So what I have seen in my own personal shop is my color by number activities are definitely selling more than usual. So I think when the kids have something to color, but it's educational, they're still answering content related questions. The coloring gives them a little bit of downtime to kind of calm them down a little bit. And also that specific product line is $4. And what I'm noticing this year, probably because of, everything going on in the economy, the election year, people are making smaller individual purchases, but they're coming back for more. So my $4 resources are selling more than my $7 resources, which, would sound pretty likely, but they're buying multiples of the smaller size resources that are lower priced. So that's a trend I've definitely noticed this year.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, like you said. Like I have a lot of repeat buyers on Etsy. They'll come in at, like I'll do like a 15% off sale and then they'll come back with the thank you coupon. So they may have bought a smaller item, but overall the lifetime value of the customer is higher potentially than someone just buying that once and then they're gone forever.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so what do you think will become popular next year? Or what are you hopeful for? Or what do you see with your crystal ball in front of you?
With my crystal ball in front of me, I think gamification is the way of the future, honestly, because this is such a age of instant gratification for kids and having, cell phones in their pockets. I feel like when you add those little extra elements of mystery, those are going to be the big sellers. So personally, I used to create reading passages with say 10 to 15 questions, some multiple choice, some fill in the blank. I am no longer going to do that. Number one, because teachers can easily do that with AI now. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to create will always be something that people cannot replicate in 20 minutes or less. If they can recreate it in 20 minutes or less, it's not going to be a big seller. It just isn't. So putting the time into making a complex escape room, teachers really, really want those kind of activities, but they don't have the time to make them. So although as a teacher author or a seller, I mean, sometimes it takes me weeks and weeks to put a product or a template together, but that's the key word, is template. Once I create it one time, then I'm going to use a different subject or a different topic and then recreate it for that topic. But because I have a template, it goes much, much quicker.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I 100% agree. This year, I don't hide my Etsy shop data. So I get hundreds of thousands of views to my Etsy shop every year. Because people are curious, is Sasha for real?
Right.
And I know you probably get the same too, because you don't hide your shop information either. But
Right.
but that's why I started focusing this year on harder to replicate products, because I don't mind people being inspired by me, but I have had some people, I don't know if it's unintentional or intentional, regardless, they blatantly copy half the, like a third of the
Right.
stuff in my shop. And I'm like, well, I can't stop them. You can't copyright an idea. But if you make that barrier to do it much higher, and I've proven that copycats just aren't going to be, they aren't going to be there in such high numbers. Or like you said, a teacher, if they can do it quickly with AI, they're going to do it. But if they, time is a very valuable resource. So yeah, they're going
Right.
to buy the escape room game. They're going to buy the puzzle packs. They're going to buy these thoughtfully curated and created activities. Like you said, color by number. I don't know. I mean, if anyone who's watching, I've created a color by number product, and it is labor and time intensive to do. So I could see why someone would be like, I'm not going to do that. And they'll just buy it. So yeah, for sure. I like that. Taking more time to create a quality product does make you get more sales over the lifetime of that product. For
Yes.
sure.
And I just want to share that when I first opened my Teachers Pay Teachers store, I was knocking out one-page trivia games. There was only 10 questions, and I literally created them in like 20 minutes. I don't even sell those in my shop anymore. That is not representative of my branding or my business anymore. But back then, I thought that quantity meant more sales. And I was very, very wrong.
That's great to point out, because I think that a lot, and I coach people and I tell them, just because you make it doesn't mean anyone has to buy it. So the more polished and interesting and unique the product is, the chances are you will sell it, because it will have that wow factor that
Yes.
blows people away. So yeah,
Yes.
I like that. I like your prediction there for the gamification and creating something more quality over quantity in mind. Okay. So I want to talk about which of your products you think would help the members of my community beyond create a thriving Teachers Pay Teachers shop if they've never sold on there before, or if, like you said, you created stuff in the beginning and maybe they're not getting those sales that they thought they could. What resources of yours do you think would help them to reach their goals?
So let's see. Can you see my tab right now?
Yes, we are in Cloaked in Fun.
Okay, perfect. So I have Cloaked in Fun, which is an amazing course full of all of those really, really difficult to replicate games and activities that we talked about earlier. But I have provided them all in template form. So you're not doing the format of the templates or adding borders or figuring out the puzzling part, because all that stuff's pretty hard to do. But Cloaked in Fun is full of templates. And if you are not a teacher, which of course is fine, there's best practice guides in here, which essentially kind of give you research and my reasoning behind why I create these types of activities. So the power of the hook is really how you get kids excited, to how to build their curiosity to get them learning. And so there's 8 best practice guides, from writing to movement to historical thinking. And then I also, this is new this year, I added a module specifically for TPT sellers with all of my best practice advice inside. So we cover, no pun intended, we cover covers that convert. And we talk about building trust with thumbnails. And I show you examples of what to do and what not to do. We talk about expectations and product descriptions. And then what everyone always wants to know more about is titles, keywords, and SEO. So for anyone who wants to kind of take the TPT journey on the right path from the beginning, then this offers you all of the advice that you need. The course is delivered fully in PowerPoint, but if you are not proficient in PowerPoint, number one, you can upload PowerPoints to either Google Slides or Canva. But number two, I also have tons of basic PowerPoint tips and tricks inside for anyone who needs to brush up on them. There's lots and lots of bonus materials, but let me take you through. Let's go in here. So we have a module 100% for escape rooms and breakouts. So when we're talking about adding that mystery word or the element of surprise, then there's a module just for that. And I don't want to hit play because it has sound, but you can see a little bit what it looks like. If I downloaded the template, I don't know that it would show up on my screen. So I'm not going to click anything. But the best part about this is you're not just getting a template with no directions, with no advice. I have a walkthrough video for every single template, and it's extremely in-depth, and it teaches you how to differentiate. It teaches you how to modify. It teaches you how to, make it easier or make it a little bit more difficult for higher grades. And really, it's like having me there over your shoulder, kind of saying, do this or don't do that.
I love it. That's so useful. And then also in your escape room game course, I know you do Canva and PowerPoint. But with that said, I had reached out to you recently about those PowerPoint games I see are selling really well on Etsy right now, like the trivia kind of PowerPoint games.
Yes.
So if you wanted to jump into Cloaked in Fun and get very proficient in PowerPoint, then you could even translate that over into a in-demand product that sells extremely well on Etsy, which are PowerPoint games. I mean,
right. And you're actually speaking volumes right now, because regardless where you sell, because it's all digital downloads, you can transition into a different idea. If teachers pay teachers, is educational. What I personally did was I took those educational resources, but then I added a twist. Instead of making them be fully educational, I made them more of a team building or a holiday activity and turned them into an escape room for Etsy. But I learned how to do all that by creating resources on TPT. So once you really have the layout and the format and you know how to create, then you can definitely diversify and transition using your skills to something else.
yeah, that's great. Well, I love it. Thank you so much for walking through the amazing Cloaked in Fun course. I didn't know you added those extra things to it, so that's great. I like that you're constantly improving it to help people get the most value they can, so that they can translate that into more success for their own business.
Absolutely. What I really, really want is for other people to find success. Truly and honestly, from the bottom of my heart, that is what the intention is behind Cloaked in Fun. And I get so many wonderful, wonderful emails thanking me for the course that it's just really rewarding to me to know that I am giving you so much value and good advice inside of the course.
Yeah, you definitely do. You go above and beyond. You go extra. I always say that.
Thank
Lisa's always
you.
going extra. Does anyone have any questions for Lisa? I see the chat is quiet, but people are watching. You can ask any questions you want. That's totally fine. She's here. Or you can email Lisa any questions you have. Lisa, did you want to give your email address to people to reach out to you?
Sure, absolutely. It is Lisa at thinktankteacher.com. So my business name,
thinktankteacher.com. Yeah. So again, Lisa at thinktankteacher.com. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on. There are no questions to chat, but I know people will probably reach out to you. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed about Teachers Pay Teachers. I know I could even interview you about Etsy, but this is something that you are truly an expert on, and there are very few of you. And I love that you're open to helping others be successful as well, and not hoarding all the good information for yourself and the good
Right.
idea.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you for everyone who does the replay. Again, you can find Lisa online at thinktankteacher.com.